Greetings, I am Herbert Erpaderp, and today is the day of the asking of the Herbert Erpaderp, which is me. It's nice to see you all. Well, I can't really see you, I'm just guessing. I can't think of anything to announce, so if there was anything it can't be that important, and there were no patron voice questions, so let's get straight to the text-based questions. Garharis909 said, if you had to pick your favourite meal or food, what would it be and why? I'm pretty indecisive and do often have a hard time choosing foods. There's just so much good stuff out there. Though I think if I had to choose something it would be pizza. You can just have so many different kinds of toppings. I think I could probably have a different pizza for each night of the week and not be annoyed about it. Maybe not much longer than a week, but still. In my opinion, it's hard to go wrong with pizza. Broseph Stalin said, have you ever considered making a diorama with your finished models? I have considered it, though generally they do take up a bit more space than I would like. I don't have a lot of room, so I have to take that into consideration. I would prefer to not end up dying under an avalanche of models and dioramas, though I suppose I can think of worse ways to go. Ducking Tanker said, if you could have a KV2 shaped burger, would you? I would really like to have one. Have you got one? Are you planning to start a tank shaped burger business? That would be amazing. I mean, I would kind of like a regular burger-shaped burger too, but a KV2 burger would be amazing. What would be on it? Smoes said, have you ever eaten fairy bread? Apparently it's Australian. Of course I've had fairy bread. It's pretty much a staple at kids' parties. It has been a long time since I've had any though. It's not something I would really eat now. Not because it's meant for kids, more that it's hundreds and thousands which are pretty much just sugar on white bread. Not really ideal food for diabetics. Eastern Union said, how are your fish and other critters doing? Everyone is doing pretty well. On the day you actually asked this question, my female Endler has had a couple of babies. I tried to film it, but it's unsurprisingly quite difficult. The fry are super cute and very tiny. Also, a couple of days prior, I noticed the first babies in my red shrimp tank. They're pretty much invisible when they're first hatched. They're now getting a little bit of colour and are a bit easier to see, but it's still challenging to do water changes without sucking them up. I don't think any of my other fish are going to have babies, though I have seen my Harlequin rasboras doing it. But I don't think they're actually going to spawn. I would really like some baby coolie loaches, but they seem really hard to breed, and at some point you have to simulate rainfall, which seems like a pain in the butt. Anyway, everyone is doing fine. Badger said, would you consider getting or making a fish tank for your fish tank? I did consider making a decorative tank to put into the tanks because that would just be fun, but it seems like a pain in the dick to get aquarium-friendly paint and materials to make the tanks from. I couldn't just use a regular plastic model because that would be bad for the fish, as would the regular acrylic paint, which would probably just come right off. I still might do something like that one day. It could be fun. Plaid Squid 41030 said, if you could procure a KV2 shaped fish tank, would you? Also, if you could borrow Ducking Tanker's question format, would you? At first I thought, hell yeah, I would love a KV2 shaped fish tank. And I would, but it would be really horrible to try and clean. And it would be a nightmare if I had to try and catch one of the fish in it. Also, it would probably be quite expensive, but you know what? I think it would be worth it. You would just have to put more thought into what you put inside the tank. Also, it is quite a good question format. I'm sure Ducking Tanker wouldn't mind if I were to use it without paying the proper royalties. Trekan Beluvic, if I'm saying that right, said, do you play Panzer Corps Wehrmacht? Until now I hadn't heard of it, so no. It looks to be a strategy game, and I'm not really into those, preferring to be on the battlefield as a shooty man or a tanker, or what have you. Monol said, if you were the general of your own army, what would your choice for its main battle tank and infantry fighting vehicle be? I don't know. I suppose I would have a staff to brief me on such choices, if they're in fact the kind of choices a general gets to make. Would it be a current modern-day army? The term main battle tank makes me think that's the case. I think I would go for the Leopard 2, not for any reason other than, in my opinion, it's the best looking main battle tank. Not really being a fan of modern equipment, I don't know if there's something else I might like better. Also, I don't know much about modern infantry fighting vehicles, so whichever is recommended by people who do know is probably best. If left to my own devices, I would probably just pick something that looks funny and ends up getting lots of people killed. If it's just whatever tank I like, then I might choose Centurions. Those look pretty cool. Pitt said, "Can you cook good?" I have never tried to cook a good. Ha ha ha, I'm so funny. I'm not completely incompetent in the kitchen, and I have made some pretty cool things. Homemade pasta sauce is nice and pretty simple. That and apple stuffed chicken breast might be the best things I've cooked. I don't really cook anything beyond basic things with any regularity though. I'm pretty lazy like that. Plaid Squid 41030 said, "What sort of tank is this?" It's a Derpman. Ha ha ha, so funny. Space Fan 24/7 said, "What do you think of people who do this?" And there's a picture of somebody who's answering a question to say they have no idea what the answer is. I guess it depends on what the context is. If the responder was personally asked what scale the item in question was, that would be a fair answer. If they're just answering a random question for the sake of it, then it's a bit, what's the right word? Obnoxious might be a bit strong. I mean, it doesn't really bother me that much. It's kind of like when people comment first on a video. It doesn't add anything, but I guess it makes people happy to put their voice out there or something like that. I don't know, I don't quite understand it myself. It's certainly not something to get too upset about or put too much thought into. I would normally just think, yeah, okay, and then move on when I see that kind of thing. James Valentine said, "Since you now have a Pink Panther, Tiger, and Orange Stug, will we see other sensible schemes, such as a Panther? And since you love sick jumps, have you been fooling around with the little Italian car in War Thunder? Seems jumpy." There's certainly going to be more sensible paint schemes in the future, though I have no immediate plans. A Panther would be a cool idea. It might just be all black though, which isn't that exciting. It might still be cool to do though. I am thinking of doing something with an Allied vehicle or maybe a Soviet one, just because they've pretty much been all German so far. Also, I've not really played much War Thunder at all lately, and I haven't played any Italian vehicles at all, or French for that matter. I was planning on playing those nations a bit before I stream War Thunder again, but at this point I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I do plan to stream War Thunder again soon. Monol said, "Do Australians get born with the natural urge to swear, or is it just a thing that develops over time?" Well, I think I might be an outlier, but I don't really have much of an urge to swear all the time, and I am an Australian, so I guess the answer is no. I think it's a product of your environment and the people you associate with. Bogans, you might know them as something like rednecks or chavs. Anyway, they don't know many words, so every second word out of their mouth is fucking or cunt. And if you're raised in that environment, that's probably how you're going to speak. In my opinion, excessive swearing is usually trashy and uncreative, but some people think it's incredibly clever. Who's right? Nobody really. Smoes said, "Is the Airfix Spitfire on the to paint list, or did the lack of detail make it not viable?" It's not on the list at the moment, but that's not really because of any detail issues. I just don't really feel like painting a Spitfire, and have other things I'm more excited to paint. As far as planes go, I do want to paint the BF-109 I did a while ago, and I've got a set of paints to try out on it as well. I've just not started yet. I'm going to do that when I'm finished with the VK4502, and there are of course other things being painted before that. KSI Agent Texas said, "Have you painted the rat yet?" Nope, it's still a Patreon goal that hasn't been met yet. I think at this point it's about 25% of the way, maybe a little bit more, not quite sure. I haven't got the urge yet to paint it anyway and then find another goal, so if you really want to see it painted, Patreon is the way. In the YouTube comments for last fortnight's Ask a Herbert Erpaderp, Fog of War Miniatures, not to be confused with the other Fog of War channel, said, "Do you use Colours of War paints?" I don't, but that's not to say that I wouldn't if I was given some to try. I do already have a ton of paint, mostly Vallejo, and I don't see a need or really want to pay to replace them all. I do actually have some of the older Flames of War paints, which were just relabeled Vallejo colours. Are the Colours of War paints also just rebottled Vallejo? I have no idea, it's not something I've really kept up with. I do like the bullet-shaped bottle caps though, that's cool. Luca Silbar said, I needed half of the video to get the joke in the title, but once you get it, it is good. I do enjoy coming up with the titles of Ask a Herbert Erpaderp episodes. Most of them I at least try to relate the title to the number somehow. Not always, but I do usually at least try. Some of them are a bit cryptic, and some just make me chuckle to myself, but I do like it when someone gets it. Suburban Scumbag said, have you seen Warlord's new game, Warlords of Erewhon? I have seen a couple of bits and pieces in their newsletter and on Beasts of War and things like that. I wouldn't say I really know anything about it though. The name kind of reminds me of a book I read in which the main character gets stranded on a planet and names it Erewhon, which is nowhere backwards. I really doubt the two are related, it's just something that it reminded me of. Some of the models I've seen look pretty cool, but I don't suppose I can really form an opinion on it with what I know about it, which is not much. And then we've got one run-on sentence of a comment where I've obscured the name and some shitty language. It says, I keep seeing you wasting your time streaming video games and posting like food and bugs and fish on Instagram why do you say you don't have time to paint, but you're obviously going out and doing this shit when you should be painting? That's what people come here for! First of all, if you're being genuine, fuck off. Second, who do you think you are to tell me how to spend my time? I mean, I don't recognize your name from Patreon, where it might actually be reasonable for you to expect something of me. Or even Discord. You almost certainly don't contribute anything. Yet you've got the audacity to attempt to dictate how my time is used. Not that people who are on Patreon have any control over my time, and they do all seem to be pretty decent people, so I doubt they would genuinely try or want to tell me how I should live my life. I have to admit that I am a little bit curious as to what makes someone like you feel so entitled, and I certainly hope that you're young. In a way that would be kind of excusable. Young people do often lack the self-awareness to realise when they're being shitheads. With the way you write though, I don't imagine you to be a very pleasant person, so maybe you don't get the choice to go and spend time with friends and things like that. And if you only have one interest in life, then I feel sorry for you. That's a you problem though, and it's not going to change anything I do. The Instagram posts and streams and stuff will continue. I normally ignore comments like this, and it's always satisfying to click report as spam or abuse, and watch it disappear with nobody else seeing it. I just thought I would vent a little bit this time. And that's all the questions for this fortnight. Let's go and check out the models that have been shared in the Discord community. Microlan100 shared this little red car. This is prior to a gloss coat being added, which I can only assume made the car look way more shiny. I like shiny. We don't really get a lot of cars around here, so this is a nice bit of variety. I like it. Car models kind of strike me as a bit different to tanks. They're usually done nice and clean, with no weathering to hide mistakes. That's obviously a skill in its own right. Either way, it's nice to see something different. Excellent work. Top Bunk Productions completed these NKVD troops. They are a pair of riflemen to accompany the Commissar in Top Bunk's Stalingrad Soviet force. I like how one of them looks as though he's about to throw his rifle at whatever he's pointing at. He must have run out of bullets. Good stuff. Saxon Steel shared this little group of Cromwells and armoured cars. I do rather like Cromwells. My armoured car identification powers are a bit lacking, so I'm not sure what these are. I think they might both be Humbers of some kind, but I don't know. They do look rather good though. Panzerkampfwagen 6 Ausführung E completed this glorious and mighty Soviet T-35. I'm not sure what scale it is or manufacturer it's from, but it looks pretty small. The model, not the real thing, of course. What matters though is it's been painted very nicely. It looks like it's been fighting hard. Excellent work. Trekan Beluvic, again I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, shared this very nice Churchill. I'm not very good at identifying specific marks of Churchill, but I think this is an earlier version. Looks pretty good. Also a Panzer IV. This is a Battlefront model that has been improved with a camouflage net made from Milliput. Excellent work. Both of these models are very nicely painted. Monol shared this World War II's S-35 which has been captured by the Germans. These aren't really my favourite style models. They just scream anime too much for my tastes. But that certainly doesn't mean that they can't be painted up really nicely, and as you can see, that's exactly what Monol has done. This is excellent work. I really like how you've highlighted the grey. Jondel has a surprise panther. Not exactly the kind of surprise you want to see coming around the corner when you're in your Cromwell. This is a very nice looking model. I don't know what it says on the left side of the turret there, but I do like the mud effect you've applied. Very nice. Broseph Stalin has shared this Airfix Kitty Hawk. Is that right? I haven't misidentified this plane? I hope not. Broseph was the one who identified it. I think this is a really good looking plane, and I've always enjoyed the bitey teeth that some planes are marked with. It's really cool. Also, I don't want to hear any whining about Airfix. Pax Britannica has shared this image of Stalin, who has found some new weapons. You would think he would be happy about finding such cool new weapons, but he looks furious. Maybe somebody escaped the gulag and it's on his mind. This is a good, funny idea, and it's been really well executed. Sunny DZ has tried their hand at painting markings by hand on the side of this King Tiger turret. This isn't too bad at all. Obviously it isn't perfect, but it is fairly neat. A marking painted onto the tank in the field might not be perfect either, so it's kind of realistic. And you do get bonus fake internet points for being resourceful when you don't have decals on hand. Also, if you keep practicing this sort of thing, you're bound to keep getting better and better. That's how skills work, or so I hear. Sunny also finished this early Tiger 1. This looks pretty cool too. Unless I'm misunderstanding, Sunny DZ plans to add some more 3D printed custom details to this model, and it'll be cool to see that when they're done. The Big Boy shared this 1/700th scale King George V. This is a Tamiya model, and as I'm sure you'll agree, it looks fantastic. Not just the model itself, which looks quite nice, but the painting is also very, very good. Those quad gun turrets look really menacing. At first I was thinking the decks look very clean, but I suppose sailors probably spend a lot of time cleaning those, so I guess that makes sense. Very nice work. I can only hope that when I get around to painting my own ships, they look half as good as this. Cartool said, "A sister ship approaches," sharing this very nice model. I don't know if it's the exact same ship or just one of the same class, because I'm not very good at ships, but it looks amazing, and that's really what counts. I rather like the water base too, it really adds a lot. Cartool has shared quite a few of his ships over time, and they're all really good. You should definitely go to the Discord and check them out. And that's it for the models this fortnight. As always, I have omitted a bunch of stuff in the interest of time, so if you want to see everything shared, you'll have to go to the Discord server, locate the Modelling General channel, and have a look. There's a lot of cool stuff there, so have fun. And feel free to share some of your own work too. Unsurprisingly, that's also the end of this fortnight's Ask a Herbert Erpaderp. Feel free to ask any questions you would like answered in the next Ask a Herbert Erpaderp in the comments below or on Discord. Don't forget, if you're a patron, you may submit a question in your own voice. Also, don't forget to subscribe, follow, ring the bell, and all the other things you do on YouTube and social media. Links to all of the things, including Patreon and my merch store, are in the description below. And as always, I shall return soon. So until then, be excellent to each other, and thanks for watching. Farewell.